All
Let it
right.
be.
Welcome back to Tatay Time. This is Papaloy,
Papa Ben.
exploring the world of fatherhood with philosophy, science, and art. So, welcome, people. But before we start this episode, I'd like to open this episode with a quote from the late, great Arthur C. Clarke, British science fiction novelist, futurist, on his observations in the nature of technology and discovery. His third law, which appeared in a footnote in his 1973 revision of Profiles of the Future, I quote, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, end quote. So it is 2021, people, 13.7 billion years since the birth of this universe. Billions of years of evolution on this planet. We have survived countless natural disasters, extinction level events, plagues, the great dying, great wars among Homo sapiens. The challenges we face as a species are enormous. And I'm not making a speech here, certainly not insurmountable, though. We have created tools beyond the imaginations of our ancestors. We can create beauty and meaning using these magnificent creations of man and simultaneously wield them to inflict terrible suffering, not just to ourselves, but to other inhabitants of this beautiful planet that we call the Earth. How we wield these tools that some call magic will shape the future of the generations to come. We are here, alive, existing as witnesses to a civilization on the cusp of a technological revolution. So today we explore the possibilities of a hopeful future as human beings, as fathers. And welcome to Tatay Time, Romar. This is our father time with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here, man. Appreciate that.
Glad to be here. You
Right.
know.
So thank you for being here, man. But before I ask my first question, I just like to state some stats concerning the Philippines. This is from Statista. The Philippines have been called the social media capital of the world. Social media users in the Philippines have an extraordinarily high usage time of about 5 hours per day.
Yeah.
Additionally, they are known as early technology adopters, as well as being highly internet savvy. It's expected that by the year 2026, over 91 million Filipinos will become users of the social network.
Hashtaggers.
Here's another one from the Inquirer just last December 22nd, 23rd. We happen to be number one, the Philippines.
Damn.
Top the list of countries in terms of time spent watching porn in a single visit. Online porn site Pornhub said in its 2021 year in review report, according to Pornhub's report, this is from the Daily Inquirer.
Yeah, we rock,
We're number one.
We are the rule.
Filipinos.
Don't fuck with us over here.
We beat Japan. Okay?
That's right, son. That's right.
Filipino visitors in Pornhub spent around 11 minutes and 31 seconds on average, besting
Damn.
other countries like Japan. Came in
Wow.
second, France,
A far second.
Netherlands. So what does that tell us about our society? So Romer, before you answer that, I'd like to ask though, how is it like, what's it like working in the tech industry here in the Philippines or here locally in Cagayan de Oro?
Oh, yeah. Good question. Good start. Number one, yeah. It's a bit challenging working here locally because number one, we don't have our internet connection is not perfect. So that's basically primary here. So what I'm having right now is, of course, another testament that our internet connection is not perfect. So you have to wing it, and dealing with foreign counterparts when your internet is a little bit icky from time to time. So that's hard. But the advantage of being able to work locally here for the tech industry is that another good reason is that we get to discover a lot of people who are into tech as well, that are working locally, here in Cagayan de Oro. And we actually have several communities here in Cagayan de Oro, devoted devoted to technology.
Mhm.
There are certain groups. There are certain groups focused on like Python programming, doing DevOps and systems administration. There are Java programmers as well that have been, coming together way before the pandemic even happened.
Mhm.
So uh,
Right, right.
there's one group that, one of our groups uh, got organized way back 2011, and then prior to that, we have a group also that started like around, was it 2001 or 1998? I don't know. I forgot. I tend to
Mm.
forget already. But
What language was that for, or what?
it's not for a particular language, but it's
Oh,
for the Linux operating system before that
oh,
was,
nice.
way back 2001, 2003. And then the group fizzled out because a lot of the key movers for that community actually left the country. Some of
Oh,
them
okay.
are working, yeah, some of them are working in Singapore. Some of them already in the States, working for big name companies, and then
Mhm.
some went to Europe and Middle East. And then there's just like a couple of people who chose to remain here in the
Really?
Philippines.
Do you
Yeah,
have a
Which is, do you think that is a problem in itself? Like all the best people that came from here locally, or even just
yeah,
all around the Philippines, are leaving. It's like an exodus of some sort of the best,
right.
brightest in the country. And
We,
why? Why aren't
mm.
we here? Or they here?
Brain drain. Yeah, that's
Right?
basically one of those things that uh, our current communities have um, been trying to combat or trying to
Yeah.
reverse.
It's a sad.
And
I mean, for me, it's a sad like reality just to think about it. Like,
right,
I mean, in a more hopeful way, I'd like to think that the best and the brightest would stay here
right,
to uplift our own communities locally.
right,
But
right,
I understand because we have to make a living. The best is out
right.
there, so we have to move out
Yes,
sometimes.
yeah, yes.
So yeah, I guess the
The
challenge is, as you've said, is probably how to do that.
brain drain, brain
Brain,
drain.
all
Yeah,
right,
brain drain,
that's a
brain
good
drain.
uh,
point.
And this is around like the early 2000s, like early 2000s
Mm,
until like around 2010 to 2012, right? So
I see.
that's basically the timeline when a lot of really tech savvy people
Mm,
left Cagayan de Oro, work
yeah,
to work to Cebu. I used to
Manila.
work in
Yeah,
I used to work in Cebu before
so did
also.
I
So
before. To Cebu.
yeah,
It was the
yeah,
place to me. I mean,
yeah.
there's no,
yes, like
there's nothing here before.
early to mid 2000s, like
Mm,
have to go out, and experience it. But I decided also to come back, not only for
nice.
family, but
Wow.
not only because of family, but also opportunities have already started springing up.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I
It's a
mean,
good sign.
so we have now a lot of you know um, companies here in Cagayan de Oro that have set up shop, uh, exporting our talent without leaving Cagayan de Oro. So one of those companies is of course one of the company that build the company that I'm working for now. And before this company, I worked for the previous company that I worked for, also in the same industry, but on a different client, different projects and all that. But the point is, tech companies already here in Cagayan de Oro
Mm.
All right.
have set up shop,
How how would you describe the tech scene here in Cagayan? Like, is it pretty up to
Yeah, good
date?
question.
Like what are those opportunities like for maybe someone that like, oh, I want to be a network administrator? Is that even possible in Cagayan?
Yes, it's really
Okay.
hard finding. Well,
It's really
it's
hard.
it's
Okay.
it's actually
A lot of
it's really hard
competition.
finding. Yes, um, we're talking about larger companies that are based in Davao, Cebu, and Manila are actually poaching people here in Cagayan de Oro
Is that
and
right?
from nearby areas. Yes,
Mm.
um, a lot of. I'm sure you're familiar with. with a lot of these schools like USTSP,
Mm-hmm.
the former Domariano.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
I'm talking about MSU IIT in Iligan,
Yeah.
Illegal. Okay.
and even in Xavier University and Capital University, their talents are already basically reserved. Should I say?
Reserved before
Yeah,
they even
their talents,
Graduate.
their talents are practically reserved
Wow.
reserved for
by
who or
companies.
where?
They got a
By
job.
companies. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that the battle basically for, especially for bigger companies and newer companies, startups,
Hmm.
the battle is basically in getting early access to those fresh talent from
Mm.
Yeah.
university.
Mm.
And but before being able to get those talents, these companies also are vying for opportunity to lobby the schools what kind of skills that they're gonna be providing
Really?
their students, right? So let's say, for example, the company I work for is into artificial intelligence, machine learning, Python programming, what else? Computer vision. Computer vision. Like, I'm pretty sure you've noticed those cameras that are set up on the traffic intersections all over the
Yeah.
city,
Sure.
right?
Sure. I definitely
Alright.
see those.
So, our company uh, has an existing technology that can get all of those things. Whatever video that are being
CCTV. Digital CCTV.
yeah, that are being recorded by digital CCTV, and then we have algorithms that can detect what kind of car it is, the color of the car, the plate number of the car. I mean, the speed that it's going, the direction that it's going.
Right.
You get the drift.
Yeah.
Something similar to that. Now, it's really hard. It's a challenge for the company right now to be able to get fresh new talent to augment, because the project, tech projects change, and specifications change, and we need more people to be able to work on the project so that we can scale it up. Like, if we have one product, let's say for example Microsoft has a product, and he wants to support that product for different clients, different customers, right? You need more people to support that and continue development for that and customize the product.
Every product,
right. So we need, like for example, like, of course, Microsoft has like Microsoft Edge, you have Microsoft
MS
Office,
Word, Excel,
MS Word, right? There are different teams building those products.
Right.
So
huge.
So in order for Microsoft to be able to have continuity and expand that product and support that product for the client, they need more people. And the same also with us, like our products. We cannot scale our products if we are undermanned, short-staffed. So we wanna be able to be, first in line, like the NBA draft. Like, we wanna be the first ones to be able to have first dibs on
Get the big one, big contracts.
The talent.
Yeah.
We wanna be the first dibs on the top talent from these schools.
Yeah. The question though. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what a lot of companies do is they lobby these schools, like, hey, we're looking for this kind of talent, and we want to help you formulate your curricula for the next year and a couple of years more around these skills, and we'll help you out. We'll share with you some of our subject matter experts, and we'll train your professors and whoever resources, right? Give you some of our resources and train your people, and then you deliver this course. And then in exchange for that, we get first dibs from your graduates.
Right.
Wow,
that's crazy.
Which is is it a common practice even way before?
But not in the tech industry before. It's more common in highly skilled courses like civil engineering, architecture. What else?
Or doctors even.
Maritime.
Okay.
Maritime is also doing that. Hospitals are also doing that before. Hospitals are also doing that.
Do the students have any any particular involvement in how that works? Because I mean, if you were like told you had to work somewhere else, I don't want to work there.
Yeah, but somehow, because I had a friend who was a medical student before, and she underwent the same
Right.
circumstance.
Right.
And yeah, so
Right.
government shouldered for the expenses, but she has to work for, I remember, at least 10 years, I guess, in a certain place.
Damn.
For
That's quite
this,
low. Yeah.
yeah. So
Wow.
Used to be
Wow.
if I recall the for especially
style.
for government scholars, especially for DOST, if I recall, they have for DOST scholars who are gonna be taking up like science and they call it STEM nowadays,
STEM,
science,
yeah,
technology,
Yeah.
engineering, math,
engineering math. So if you're a graduate of any STEM course, and you're a scholar of DOST, you have a return service of like around three years, if I recall, right now. So yeah. So for government scholars, there's a return service for that. But for students who are not scholars of government and you're taking up a specific track, they have the option to apply. They have the option anyway. They're not really forced to apply to that specific company if they don't want to.
Yeah,
But
what you were touching on earlier about people, there's like guaranteed jobs locally. It sounds very reminiscent of the California dialogue back, before 2000, before the dot-com crashed. It was like, man, IT guys are getting hired and they're getting paid six figures and like making this money. And then while I was in tech school, it was like it's not even a university, it's like a tech school. The dot-com crash happened while I was in school. like what?
Right.
I'm already 2 years invested in this. And it's grabe ang gasto, man. I was like,
who would have known? I mean, the pandemic and everything, even this one, it's kind of like a surprise.
I guess if you can get on the bubble early, you can make a lot of money if you get
the
on
unpredictability of
get on that
right?
bubble right now, people, before it blows up.
right. I remember that. Yeah, I remember that perfectly. Like
one thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I remember graduates from UC Berkeley and from Caltech Poly and also from Harvard are, selling like hotcakes. Like companies have been snatching. Yeah, they've been. Yeah, way back then, those graduates are being snatched up by big name companies before, like before Google and
before
Google and Facebook did not exist yet. Way back around those times.
Right.
IBM and Microsoft have been, snatching up those, really brilliant, graduates from those. But then again, as you've said, the dot-com happened, dot-com crash, and bam, oops, what happened?
It sucked trying to get a job after graduating after the crash.
Right. Fortunately for us right now, it's no longer the case because technology is no longer the fad that we thought it was during that time. Because at that time, the internet was fairly new. A lot of people don't really know how it works.
Yeah, it was still the Wild West, right?
Right. And people don't know how e-commerce works.
Yeah.
And people don't. Yeah. And people aren't doing mobile computing and
Elon Musk
don't
was
have
probably
smartphones.
just doing PayPal then, maybe.
Yeah. Or just a programmer back
programmer
then.
maybe.
One thing
and
sorry,
Jeff Bezos is just a book salesman back then. Yeah. He's just a book salesman.
Just partying and getting drunk. One thing you were touching on about is about a lot of the tech talent leaving the country, and I wonder if that's just like something that's very lacking as far as a public interest in sciences. And we just found we know about that recent Is it a planetarium that's being built?
Yeah, I think it's a planetarium somewhere in El Salvador.
It's very, very new.
I heard there was a 50
Very new.
million pesos
It's not even
budget
done.
for it. So
Yeah.
I was surprised.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, is this even real? I mean, who started this?
Yeah.
I was so surprised because we've always talked about in this podcast the emphasis on science and technology that
Right.
our government should put its efforts to.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's pretty frustrating to
Very,
know
yeah.
where the focus is right now in education here in the Philippines. Really, I mean, I can understand we are a developing country. We don't
Right.
have maybe the budget or the capacity,
Dude,
but
all the luxuries are available here. There's no reason that we shouldn't have libraries for, good libraries.
Yeah,
The library here, the city library here, for people who don't know,
I
it's
think
just a joke.
yeah, I think if I have to put my opinion on this, I think we lack the passion for knowledge, the passion for learning.
I think
Right.
people want to
Even
learn.
just as parents,
People wanna
even.
learn.
Yeah.
People
but-
are going to school all the
But
time.
why
here.
are we
There's a lot.
appropriating our budget to other things
Yeah,
that
yeah,
for
yeah.
me is just
The tax money? Where is
Yeah.
that going? The tax
science
money.
and technology?
It's not going to science and tech. I tell you
Jesus,
that.
is it really hard? I mean, I understand every public school can't have access to the internet. Even now with the pandemic, it's hard to have their modular, was it learning now?
Yeah, modules.
Yeah, modules. There you go. And so the first priority should be at least providing that access. I know it's hard. You've recently said a while ago, Romar, that D2 is here. So that's a good thing. I think there's more players, more competition.
Yeah.
That's always good. So that's a step forward. And maybe I think if you agree with me or not, with the science thing and technology, do you think it should be pushed more in our academics from the get-go? In the public school, especially.
Yeah, good. That's a really good question as well. My industry, being in the tech industry, is basically part and parcel of science and technology, of course. And let's start first with the planetarium. Is it going to be a good investment
Yeah.
of public money? I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, nobody's sure yet.
I'm not exactly sure if it's a good
We're hopeful.
investment.
Doubtful.
But yeah,
as well.
I'm hopeful, and yeah, same as you, I'm also doubtful as well. But I'm hopeful that it's gonna be effective. But if we also recall, USTSP is actually building a really large science and technology campus in Alubihid.
Really?
I believe it's in Lourdes,
right?
Alubihid.
Wow.
They have
What a
like
beautiful place for
have-
a school.
yeah, they have like several hectares.
Wow.
Yeah, hectares.
that.
I'm not talking about square meters here, man. It's
Yeah, yeah,
hectares.
We're
Wow.
Like
farmers.
several hectares of
Wow.
land that they're developing into a science and technology campus.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
science and
great.
technology campus, and it's gonna be, and with that campus in Alubihid, the planetarium in El Salvador is gonna be just like a
yeah.
stone's throw away.
Yeah.
So there's some sense also there. I just realized it like a couple of minutes ago. All right. So, and here's another thing.
That's awesome.
There's another thing. This is already law. We are gonna be having our own space agency. So
Yeah.
Bravo.
we're actually having,
Bravo.
and it's already signed.
Yeah,
I
right.
think, if I'm not mistaken,
I got to look into that.
Yeah.
I think we're
it was
losing
already
communication.
signed by Duterte into law. We have already.
Nice.
Oh man.
So we apologize for the we're having.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah,
It's okay. It's okay. It happens. But a
Somebody's
space
streaming
agency,
porn out there, man. Stop
a
streaming your
space
porn.
agency.
Sorry. Go ahead. That's awesome, man. That's officially announced already, huh?
I haven't heard about it. I should
Yeah.
look into it, man.
Obviously,
Yeah,
it's
thank you.
not.
Thank
It's
you,
not
man,
enough.
for-
It's not on the
for
news
the
enough.
information. I didn't know
Right.
about that.
That's great.
And we have just launched also, just to add, since we already have our own space agency, we've been launching several microsatellites already.
Even during the
Yeah.
Marcos administration, I remember
Is that right?
we had
But this time,
hitched a ride.
right,
Yeah.
right. But this time around, it's not foreign made. The satellites were made by our own engineers.
Nice. So it's local. Holy
Yes,
hell.
it's local.
That is
It's
local.
great.
So basically, what happened?
Bro.
So what happened? What happened is that
Hawaiian.
we have some engineers who are based from UP, flew to Japan,
Nice.
and studied with Japanese engineers there as well, and
Wow.
they built our first microsatellite there from scratch, and then they built another one, and then they built another one. I think I lost count how many satellites we've launched recently, but we have a batch of satellites that were launched in tandem with Starlink. So
Yeah.
Really?
yeah, we've hitched a ride on top of Dragon. So yeah,
Dragon is from Starlink.
Yeah.
from
SpaceX.
SpaceX.
Yeah,
SpaceX
SpaceX.
Dragon.
Right.
Yeah, the most recent one.
All
So
the same, man.
Damn, that is
we've
good
had,
news.
like-
I've been too focused on other nation space agencies. I haven't even looked locally. Holy shit! Thank you, Romar.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm
That's
gonna give you that,
incredible.
man.
Right.
You've
So
been changing too many diapers,
Incredible.
man.
Yeah, I know. Holy hell.
Wipe that shit, man.
I'm glad
Yes.
to talk to you.
so yeah,
That's incredible. That's some great
Prob-
news.
Whether we're going back to the planetarium again, whether it's a good investment right now, I'm not entirely sure,
Mhm.
but I think we're on the right track. We're
All right.
putting in,
All right.
we're putting in, the initial baby steps.
Yeah, at
Because
least the
this is going to
optimism
be-
is there,
yeah,
right?
at
We
least.
keep the fire going.
right. But
Yeah.
in terms of who's running the show right now,
Yeah. Doesn't really
I don't
matter.
have like
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I
Doesn't
don't
really
I don't
matter.
have entire confidence with some of the people running the show right
exactly.
now. But we have the steps. We already
Yes.
have a clear idea of what we want as a country
Nice.
and
Nice.
as a future spacefaring country. So
Wow. That's great.
that's
It's good to know, man.
I
Holy
think
shit,
it also
just gave me
says
some happy jitters now.
yeah. I think it says a lot
Oh.
too. I mean, it's 2022, and we're talking about the very first one in this area. So that says a lot that what's been lacking up to this point, and this is only the start, right? Like there should be
Yeah, yeah.
more. There should be more science academies. There should be more
Yes.
museums. There should be more libraries.
Yes.
This is good. It's a good step. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, like,
Right.
there's still so much that should be provided to the citizens here.
That's true.
Yeah, and I'm optimistic also that we're gonna be having more museums. Like, of course, we know the art museum,
Local, Cagayan de
the
Oro.
local art museum. Yeah, we have our Savior Museum,
Savior,
and of
I've
course
been there.
we have
Ako
we have
nakita na.
our of course we have the Museum of Three Cultures at Capitol University.
Capitol
Shout out Coach
Mm.
Popo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coach Popo, shout
Yeah,
out.
I've
Yeah.
been there too.
What's
I
up?
studied nursing
Yeah.
there for 2 semesters.
You're right. But the thing is, these are cultural museums. They're focusing on culture.
Yep.
What we don't have right now, especially here in Cagayan de Oro, is we do not have a science and technology museum.
Right.
And one such museum is it's in Metro Manila right now, is the Ayala Mind Museum.
Yeah, the Mine
It's
Museum. I've
focused
never
on
been there, but
technology.
I've heard
Yeah.
about it before.
What is that?
Yeah, I
what
heard
is
it's
that?
good. I
What's it
haven't
in?
been
Right.
there.
We were able to, my daughter and I were able to visit the Mind Museum way back
Nice.
2015 when Google sponsored our trip there.
Oh,
So,
nice.
Yeah, Google flew us to Manila for like
Wow.
2 days.
All right, there you go, recording. And we apologize, people, for the
Technical
difficulties.
difficulties.
One of the barriers of technology. We're in
Yeah.
2022, but it still happens. So that's why we have a lot of miscommunication, I guess.
You know, earlier when you were saying it's like a developed country,
Yeah. Where were we?
I feel like it's not really like that though. When I see the luxuries that are available to people here, I don't think it's. Is it really right to call this place a developing country when there's like, you know, high-rise condos being built around here?
We can't call it third world now. It's inappropriate, I guess.
It doesn't sound very appropriate, right?
But what is appropriate? Anyway, it's a third world country. Let's just stick with the narrative.
We have SNR here. What are we talking about? We have SNR.
Right.
We have Kit Kats, bro. We have Kit Kats.
Right.
SNR. Kit Kat.
I tell you a story regarding, you know,
all right.
how should we be calling ourselves as an underdeveloped country or a third world country or a developing country or whatever label they wanna call us. Here's a really good story. I have family in Tennessee, right? So they come over like every couple of years. So they come over, and guess what? In Tennessee, they barely have things that we have here, like SNR, like Marks and Spencer, boutiques, and all that. And my brother-in-law would keep on saying, dude, whenever I come home to the Philippines, it's the only time that I get to see traffic and lots of people. I mean, this is practically, you know, whenever we come home to Cagayan de Oro, he said, whenever we come home to Cagayan de Oro, it's practically a lot noisier than whenever we go to Knoxville, Tennessee. Because they live in 10 Mile.
Yeah.
They live in 10 Mile, like a couple of hours from Knoxville. So the nearest, like, you know, metropolis that they're gonna be able to visit is Knoxville. And Cagayan de Oro is a lot noisier. Has a lot more traffic than
it's much more vibrant.
Knoxville.
Is it safe to say?
We have a lot of K bars here. Huh?
Yeah, you can see into the background some of the city view here.
I mean,
basically Limcat Kai Center is there, one of the biggest malls here, and the Deluxe Hotel, I guess.
Looks like it's made out of gold.
Yeah, and one thing that really stuck with me, what my brother-in-law said, was that our malls here in the Philippines are crazy.
Yeah, I've heard from a lot of foreigners.
That's his words. Those were his words. He said our malls here are damn huge and crazy because our malls here already have everything in them. Their malls there, their malls there, like malls are basically, if this mall is specializing in clothes, that's all you're getting there.
Yeah,
like.
I still remember coming here on vacation, going to Kit Kai, and just having my mind blown that the arcades had chairs. I was like, wow, they have arcades that are so big. They have chairs.
Afterburner with the moving.
Right.
In Kit Kai Center.
Yeah.
And then a couple of steps away, you get snacks.
It was epic, man.
So we were not that far behind, in fairness to Cagayan de Oro City, right?
Yeah.
So
also on
I agree with your story, man. It's like probably it's not fair to call us a third world.
Third world.
My first
or city, even
thinking about before coming back here on vacation, you know, the first strip club I'd ever been to was here in Cagayan de Oro City. Way heavily underage, you know, in the US.
From if there's any foreigners listening to this, if you're living in the Philippines, you can get into a strip club if you're under 18, even under 15.
It's not hidden here, man. Just see it.
That was way back then.
Yeah. There's a couple.
But yeah, going back to science and technology, since we discussed it a while, we just got cut off. How difficult would it be to equip our public schools with the right tools and technology for us to be able to catch up with the world? I mean, I've heard of gadgets like Arduino. How expensive is it? It's less than 500 pesos. Am I correct? So if you give,
Less than 500 pesos?
I think so.
Right.
With a
Wow.
basic kit, you can probably get one. So why
Really?
not in every barangay? Is it
Wow.
possible to at least equip them with one, just to give them at least something? I mean, people in
Right.
Japan their kids are exploring robotics at a very young age. So
In
how
the
can
public schools?
yeah, they're across
Yeah,
the
right.
board. Let's
Wow.
just say in
Yeah.
China, they're doing it.
Right.
In the public
So
school.
yeah, what do you think?
Correct.
How do we approach this so that the next generation can at least catch up? As we've mentioned in the intro, our internet usage is up there. I mean, we were
Yeah.
called the text capital of the world at some point in the 90s, I think. So, and we
Yeah.
are early adopters. So why not? It's
We're
just
still we're still at the top. Yeah. We're
yeah,
still at top.
yeah. So how do we translate that better communication of science and technology to our kids? We are all parents here. So if we focus on
Correct.
that, can you give us any suggestions maybe?
All right. That's a good question. I think your question is multifaceted actually.
Mhm.
If you ask me, you touched on the public school system.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, public school system again is not perfect,
Yeah.
and there are still a lot of things that we need to improve around that area, around that sector, because it's the only school system that most of the kids can go to, especially those who
Yeah,
are
yeah.
unable to afford a fairly good private education, right? So going to the public school is basically their only option, if at all possible.
Mm.
Now, unfortunately, these are also uh, challenged technically because you know should we buy a tablet instead of buying like a sack of rice? That's basic.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
basically the
That's a
conundrum
good point.
there about survival and being able to keep up with technology.
Mhm.
So that still is a big issue right there. But um, here's another saver for especially for those kids who are especially for kids who are in the public school system. Are you guys familiar with the pisonet?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Mhm.
Right? But now since we're in the pandemic,
Bawal.
unfortunately those establishments are closed at the moment. So
Ah, bawal di ay.
those are yes, bawal sa karon. Internet
Okay.
cafes and pisonets have been supplementing, have been providing a really good service in
During the
supplementing the
pandemic.
deficiency
Uh,
before the
before.
pandemic.
I see. Okay.
Before the pandemic, the
Mm.
the ordinary internet cafes, the neighborhood internet cafes, and the pisonets are actually supplementing the deficiency in our public school system in terms of providing tech education and access to the internet and access to information. Uh, because a lot of public schools still have, does not have enough computer laboratories available to the children, right? And fortunately, there are certain schools in the public school system that were recipients of donations from big companies. Like Ayala's been very,
Oh, really?
very prolific. Yeah, Ayala's been very prolific in donating like an entire laboratory
Oh,
of
ba?
computers. Yes, they've been providing like 30, 50
Wow.
PCs provided
Okay.
to
Nice.
certain public schools. If I recall, Mogs was a recipient. I
Okay.
forgot if it's
It's
Ayala
near
or
City
whatever.
Central. Yeah.
City High was also
City
a
High.
recipient
Oh,
before.
Central.
Gusa National High School was also a recipient before.
Mm.
I lost track of which other public schools were able to receive donations from private companies, but yeah, those basically are what happened, before the pandemic. But still, it's not enough because I'm pretty sure that you're familiar also that in our public school system, the ratio between teachers to students is quite high. Like
Yeah, it's
in
really
each
high.
class,
Yep.
in each
Mm.
class, one teacher handles like around 60 students.
Whoa.
Yeah, there's supposed to be an ideal
Grabe.
ratio,
Oh,
right?
what?
Like how many
Yes,
how many students per teacher.
Ah,
Right.
So that's
the
a problem
ideal,
too.
my goodness.
the ideal
Yeah.
ratio.
That's closer
the
to
ideal
100.
Ratio, right.
Oh my
The
god.
ideal ratio actually for a conducive class is like around 15 to 25.
That's already a
Maximum of
lot.
like around,
That's already a lot.
like that's maximum like around 30, but the existing public school system has more than that. That's double.
Overwhelmed
So
as
that's
well.
like 60. That's very overwhelming.
Yeah.
So yeah, the ratio alone is like, the
Yeah.
teachers are having a hard
Yeah,
time. And
yeah,
another is that teachers are also having a hard time getting access to technology tools. Like they're having a hard time. Like right now in the pandemic, like last year, a lot of teachers who are not really tech savvy had to scamper and look for laptops that they can use, because a lot of teachers don't really use laptops and are still using class records that they buy from school supplies, right? So they had to switch to electronic. So a lot of these teachers also had to adjust. And some of them are also not really very tech savvy and don't even know how to connect to the internet themselves, and even don't know how to navigate around online tools like Google Meeting or here in Zoom and other tools. So it's also a major adjustment for a lot of teachers in the public school system as well. So
And that's a big part of your advocacy, right? Like cybersecurity is a
yes.
big focus of what you do. Can you go into that a little bit about like what part
Yes.
of cybersecurity you're involved in?
Well, I have to go back to I have to mention also that I volunteer for Mozilla, the
Browser.
foundation that created the Firefox browser, right?
Yeah,
So
I
we
use
have a community. We have a community here in the Philippines called Mozilla Philippines Community, and the primary community is of course Manila based, because the leadership of Mozilla Philippines Community is based in Manila. And I basically function as a regional coordinator for Northern Mindanao for Mozilla Philippines, and that's part of our advocacy of getting in touch with people everywhere online. And we were able to conduct, like last year, we were able to conduct um, educational advocacies, educational activity, and assisting also teachers how they go about their online activities, like what's the safest way to log in to a certain service. What are you gonna be doing? Like what kind of passwords are you gonna be using? How am I gonna be staying safe on top of Facebook or on social media? Whatever it is that
That's good.
we can help out teachers and students as well. So we've been doing that last year, 2020, and right now we're switching gear also in educating people in terms of being able to safeguard their data online, and also we are also gradually easing into doing the campaign for how people will be able to protect their ballot online as well.
Yeah.
So and then also dealing with misinformation online. So we're actively
That's
doing
another
that.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing also. So there are a lot of activities that we've been doing.
Damn, there's a lot on your plate, man.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
there's just a couple of us, and there are a lot
Yeah.
of people.
But you gotta
That we
solve
had to
problems,
help out.
right? You gotta solve the
We do get
problems. Yeah. That's good to know that you and your peers are finding ways to at least find solutions to solve these common problems that we're having, right? This is relatively new technology. I mean, we come to
Right.
think of it, it hasn't been here for, for that long. I mean, when did we first invent the internet? That was just a few decades ago.
Right.
Radio, whoever, whatever. Even the first industrial revolution. Now we're in the fourth industrial
Telegraph.
revolution. Yeah, telegraph. All this,
Right.
this communication. And speaking of communication, as you've said, we've tackled a little bit of miscommunication. How do you think, as a culture, since we are, we have this high internet usage, the statistics, right? How do you think can we improve?
Number one,
Yeah,
bro.
number one. There's 7,107 islands, depending if it's low tide or high tide. In the we are so divided culturally. Even we are a diverse culture as a country.
Right.
Right. We have so many dialects. So how do we use technology to bridge that gap that we have as a culture and as a people? Are there ways that we can improve that? I mean, we do use Facebook and all that, but it seems like everybody's just bickering about who
Marites.
Marites or whatever.
Right.
How do we improve that?
We need more people. We need more people like such as yourselves, being able to promote, the real culture. Our culture, our own culture of respect, because what we're seeing in social media right now is not really the real culture of the Filipino. The real culture of the Filipino is respectful. In Bisaya pa, matinahuron.
Bitaw.
In Tagalog, it's
Sa Tagalog, I forgot.
may galang. May galang or magalang.
There you go, magalang.
Diba?
My father's Tagalog, so I should know.
So it's magalang in Tagalog. And another day, I forgot what other.
Yeah, respect. I believe is a very integral part of our culture.
One, it's matinahuron. We give respect.
And what happened? What happened to it?
And well, we have to. Sometimes it's easy to point fingers, dude, but it's a conglomeration of a lot of different things that have coagulated like for several years already. Probably we go back to of course, primary factor for that is of course parenting, right? Second, of course, is in the educational system. Third is in mass media. You look at mass media right now, whatever it is that you see on TV, whatever content that we see, whatever content that we see on the internet, a lot of those things are crap, dude. And here's also one thing. There's also one thing that people should realize whenever they go on the internet. They have to realize that the internet is not a park.
Yep.
Right.
It's not a park.
I agree.
It is not a park.
Yeah.
You have to think of the internet as this shady red light district slash
That's a good description.
red light district slash hood. I mean, you don't know who you're gonna be encountering.
Yeah. That's a good description.
You don't know who you're gonna be encountering on the next corner.
Might be Debo over there,
Right. Like you could be on the next store. You could be encountering a pimp. I don't know.
Yeah.
Prostitute. Like symbolically, the prostitute
idea.
could be that porn website that you are gonna be encountering in the form of a pop-up ad. Right. You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. Right, and then probably a scrupulous scammer will be waiting, to get your data or whatever.
And we were just willing to submit ourselves to whatever is out there. I mean, if I may add a little to that, I'd like to add a little bit of history. Even I mean, as a people, as a nation, even before this Philippine thing that we have, we were basically have been conquered by how many nations now? Like Spanish, American, Japanese. The British were here for a little bit, but it's like we're confused. It's like, who are we as a people? Yeah. And hopefully not China soon, but goddamn, I mean, it's just a mixture of a lot. But history, even we are confused. It's like, what does it mean to be a Filipino? Even it's so jarring if you grew up in this country, but we do have an identity that we can cling on to. I still believe in that.
Here's also one of those things that detractors and naysayers keep on harping about, we're not really a united country, etc., blah, 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 right? But, we are a colorful country. Yes, we do have different, we do have different indigenous people, right? We have several tribes and several groups and units. Like here in Mindanao, we have the Tausug, we have the Miranao,
Paranaos,
we
yeah.
have the Talaandig,
Sa
we have
Bukidnon, mga
the
lumads.
yes,
Yeah.
the Lumads na to. And then we have the Manobo, we have the Tagbanwa, we have the Maguindanao,
Yeah.
all of those things. And we're just talking about Mindanao at this
Yeah,
point.
not mentioning Visayas.
We're not yet mentioning the Visayas.
And they're all different too. It's
Yeah.
not like they just have a different accent.
Right.
There's a completely different
Right.
language.
Yeah.
But we found commonality.
Yep.
Despite our differences as a people in the Philippines. We have commonalities. We respect our elders, we respect our authorities, we respect
Right on.
nature,
Yeah.
we respect the deities that we worship. We
The
respect
Babaylans,
nature.
right?
Yes, we respect Bathala or whoever you're
Yeah, Bathala.
worshiping, whether you're Christian or you're of
Animist,
Islamic
whatever.
origin or animist, whatever. But you respect an all-powerful being and a center of your universe, and you respect your fellow men. That's basically the core in our culture as a Filipino. It doesn't really matter what kind of group you belong to.
Yeah, which is a beautiful
Follow-
thing. Yeah.
Yes, and as you mentioned, the Filipino, I have to totally agree with you. As a Filipino and as a nation, we suffer from amnesia of who we really are. We suffer from amnesia of who we really are. If you ask, kids today, if you ask them, are you a Pacific Islander? Are you Latino? Are
So
you
many labels, huh?
Asian?
Yeah.
Are you Western?
Oriental. It's not even accepted
Yes,
now.
they will. I'm pretty sure they will not be able to answer correctly. Why? Because we are a mixed race, dude. We are a melting pot. We are a melting
That's
pot.
true.
The only thing that we can describe ourselves is I am Filipino. I'm
Yep.
not a Pacific Islander. I'm not Asian. I'm not Southeast Asian. I am not Western. I am not whatever it is that you think I am. I am Filipino. That's just the only thing that can describe us, because we have, like, I'm sure Ben can attest to this.
Yeah.
He has. I'm sure he has Western blood. I have Western blood.
Yeah.
have
I think
Asian-
most of us do here. at
Well,
least.
most of us do because
Probably Spanish, Portuguese,
European,
Chinese,
some
whatever.
percent.
Wear mutts.
Some percent.
Most of us.
Yes, we're mongrels. Basically,
Mongrels. There
We're
you go. Yeah, mongrels.
Yeah,
is
we're
the,
mongrels.
is the right word.
Basically. We've been trading. Here's also another thing. Speaking of cultures, I don't see. I used to have this, negative thinking of, China is already here. China is already here.
Yeah.
All of that. I had that thinking before.
Okay.
But I had to read. I had to read some more background. I mean, just trying to see where I can base myself from with all of these things that are going on right now. Like China's already in the WPS, and bossing around boats, especially our fishermen.
It's a hot topic there. Yeah.
It's a hot topic. But should we really hate the Chinese people? I mean,
that's
the
a good
Chinese,
question.
You have to understand that
Yes.
the Chinese people
Are different from the government.
different from the government.
Yep.
And the same also,
Sure.
I also don't see the point in people hating on Americans just because their government is behaving like a douchebag.
Yes. Right on, man.
Right? So it's basically the same thing. Now,
Yeah.
we have to look further back, and then I was able to realize that our archipelago, before we even got united under the Spanish rule, we have been trading with the Chinese for centuries.
yes.
Man.
And they had very good words for the Filipinos, just in case, if you're listening, you don't know. Filipinos were trustworthy according to the Chinese, and it's not even anecdotal evidence. It's written somewhere.
in the history books.
It's in the history books.
Yes.
They find us very
And-
trustworthy. They love
and-
trading with us.
Yes. And do you know what they love to trade with us with? Silk and their porcelain. And that is why we always, we always
Mm,
covet. Now, our parents and their grandparents covet those China wares that they have, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
that has become part of our culture. And if all of us will try to recall, a lot of our traditional dishes came
Came
from the
from China.
freaking Chinese.
Yep, yep.
You know? We are very proud of, like, oh, my grandma cooks a
Yeah.
very good
Yeah,
The
yeah.
best
lumpia.
cook of this and that, but some of the
The,
ingredients in the recipes
my
there are
my
yeah.
tita is my
Chowking lang
tita
muna.
Chunk.
cooks my tita cooks the best pancit.
Uh-huh.
My
Yeah.
tito cooks the best siopaw and all that. I
Uh,
mean,
Bihon.
dude,
I'd
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
yeah.
bihon and sotanghon, dude. Those
Yeah.
are Chinese food,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
We
Yes.
adopted those things.
Just
Yeah,
without
yeah.
the sauce.
Exactly. So yeah, we've been trading with them for like centuries.
Yep.
So
Yeah, there's early
we
depictions of that. The women didn't even wear tops.
right.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. That's true.
yeah, they're
And
they're.
And actually,
I've seen some of those images.
Papa Ben
right.
and I had a interesting conversation the other day about the Spanish uh, who conquered us before. Even until now, they're still their culture is highly
Right.
influential in the Philippines. We can see that.
Right.
I-
Yes, of course.
but for me, looking back, as you said, I agree with you totally that you have to look back a step further
Yes.
than
Yes.
today and yesterday.
Yes.
It's like taking it. They gave us Christianity. I'm not saying that's a positive thing or negative thing, but that's a part
Right.
of who we are right now.
Yes.
And Western technology was a big thing back
Yes.
then. So even when the Americans came, when they introduced the public school systems, there's a lot there.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be like, oh, there were uh, barbarian conquerors, white people fucking up the whole native. Yeah, they did a lot of terrible things, and we did too a long time
Yes.
ago, even
Yes.
with our own people. So it's a matter of
Right.
perspective and how we look at history. And it's very important that we all
Right.
learn from our own histories, even world history. So that's a very good
Exactly.
point. Yeah, I agree with you also. And going back to that, going back to the whole bridging the gaps between our islands, and maybe even not just our own islands here locally. There's 7,000 something 107 islands. Even bridging the gaps between nations. Do you think the metaverse will be able to solve that?
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's advertising itself as this way of
Right.
communicating with other human beings in a
Right.
different level. And what is that different level? I don't know. I'm not well versed enough, but so you don't believe so?
Nah. No. We're already doing that right now, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
The only thing, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, the
Mhm.
metaverse that Meta is trying to promote right now is just adding abstraction to whatever it is that we have right now going already.
Mm.
I mean, why should I be talking to an avatar
Mm.
who doesn't look like a real person,
Yeah.
right? Why not? Why don't I just connect with the person directly using Zoom or whatever
Yeah.
it is,
Or
and I see the real face?
what we're having right now.
Yes,
It's not
right.
even in person, but at least it's something that we can.
Representation of it.
Yeah.
Yes, at least I see the image of the real person. It's
Mm.
not some cartoon or some avatar that I'm
Right.
interacting with. It takes out the realism and the the person to person relation, basically,
Mm.
when communicating and establishing a relationship with a person. It's
Mm.
hard to relate to a person that you do not see. You do not see the face. You don't see the real expression. I mean, we can go back again to the principles of communication. There are visual cues and then there are audible cues,
Mm.
right? So whenever we talk to the person, we understand that the person understands what we're talking about because we can see his facial expression whenever he agrees, whenever he moves his hands and brows and whatever it is that he moves whenever he talks or listens. Those are visual cues. Those are cues that we take in
Mm.
and understand that we're in the same foot as the other person that we're
Mm.
communicating with.
Yeah.
And Meta takes that away. It
Mm.
dehumanizes communication. So if the perfect way for us to relate to our fellow citizens online, and not only online but also with no, in real life, is basically being able to have more conversations, man. Have more
Yeah,
conversations. So
yeah.
this is what
For
we're
those who
doing
don't
right
know,
now.
yeah, for those who don't know, this is actually the first time that we have talked verbally, even, right, Romer, and
Yes,
even and
yes,
Yeah.
it's not
exactly.
in person, as I've said, but we were just chatting. We were, asking each other questions, but it was a start of a at least opening up the channels
Yes,
a healthy conversation about things, even if we don't
exactly,
agree about certain things and
exactly.
issues. But I think this is a step forward, especially with us as a people, to have more open conversation, long form, if you have the time to do it.
Right, right,
This is a step forward rather than our usual memes in a day or whatever. How we try to communicate our thoughts.
right,
It takes a lot of energy. I know not
right.
everyone can have an hour talking to people, but we need that. I think we really do.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And perhaps more than just share, like what you've said, more than just sharing memes. In order for us to be able to bridge between cultures and bridge between persons, whether online or offline, is to be able to connect. Okay,
Yep.
be able to humanize again. We don't need the humanization of
Yeah. Yeah.
communication.
Yeah.
We don't need what Meta is trying to do right now.
Mm,
It it abstracts the primary way for us to communicate, because
mm,
we all we see is just a cartoon there. There's no facial expression there. It's plastic. So we need more of conversations, whether it's
mm.
live video or audio or whatever,
Or virtual reality.
or virtual
There's
reality.
another tool that we can use.
Right.
Um,
But um, and also, in order for us to bridge more contact with other people, is to produce more content pertaining to our culture.
mm,
Put more content out there, telling other people that, hey, this is who we are, this is what we do,
yeah.
these are the things that go on with our daily lives. This is how we are as a people.
Mm,
Because if you notice, a lot of conflicts arose from miscommunication. And how did those miscommunications happen?
mm.
Factions dehumanized
Tribalism,
the
just basic.
factions the here's the thing. Factions dehumanize the other side,
Mm, mm.
because it will be easier for them to what you call this, it's easier for them to harbor hate towards an
Yes, yes.
inhuman opponent,
In
right?
war, it happens, right? Like,
In war it
yeah,
happens. And
when
even
people like
even
have enemies, they like call them chinks or the skinnies.
yes,
So yeah, that's one way of dehumanizing, so that you can just easily kill your enemies without this idea that this is a human being that I'm about
exactly,
to eliminate because he has different opinions than I do.
right.
Yeah, that is true, man. It's sad
And
though.
that's also what's happening right now. Even if we're not yet at war,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not we're not
It's
at
a
war,
war
but
of
people
words for now.
people are people are throwing labels out there.
Mm, mm.
People are throwing labels out there, and it really saddens me to see it. People are throwing labels out there, like,
Uh,
you're black, you're white, you're
Yeah.
Asian,
Yep.
you're Filipino, um, uh, you're Dilawan, you're pink,
Yeah.
you're
Pink,
you are
red.
you know you are a BBM,
So
you're
many
a
colors. I'm wearing
Sarah,
green right now, so I must
you're
be voting for
you're
a specific
pula, right? You're
politician.
pula, you're green, those kind of things. Those are labels, dude, and
Yep.
that basically dehumanizes the other side.
Other side, exactly.
And
Holy
not
shit.
only political, even medical, the same.
Yeah.
Oh, you know we're on the pandemic right now, but people are openly throwing labels to others,
Mm.
like calling the other person unvaccinated,
Yeah,
and
right?
calling the other person vaccinated,
Vaccinated.
mm.
You're a
right?
sheep.
Uh, as
Diba?
a father to daughters, have you seen that recent My Little Pony movie? You know, it's like
My
a
Little
new
Pony?
My Little Pony New Generation. Have you seen that one?
I haven't. I haven't.
Yeah, your kids will probably like that one. It's actually really interesting. It dives into some psychological tendencies where this the story, the plot of the story kind of involves some psychological like warfare kind of stuff in there.
Right.
It's pretty interesting actually.
Mm.
It goes pretty clear message about what could be happening in group settings,
Mm-hmm.
the influence of a group to move
Right.
against a certain party.
Mm.
And because there's like in the movie there's different ponies, there's like a they're like races, so they have
Right.
different races of ponies, and they have all these like what do you call it, um what do you call it when you have like, oh, they're all rednecks, or
Mm.
Yes.
Or
Yes. Yes.
what's the?
yeah, why is that word escaping me right now? Anyways,
Yeah, yeah, me too.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. The girls are will definitely like it. It's a pretty interesting movie to watch as a family, and you can bring
Mm.
up topics like discrimination
Mm-hmm.
in like a
Right.
My Little Pony setting. So I really appreciated it
Mm.
compared to like the old style kind of movies where it's just about some adventure they have, some meaningless shit, and then but this one
Mm.
was pretty deep in psychological stuff. It was
Yeah,
pretty good
Right.
that's
Right.
good.
to
Right.
see that.
Yeah. Then we'll
Anyways,
definitely. We'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, 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 me too.
yeah.
It
Um,
seems
And,
interesting.
I wanted to ask you, Romar, as an online content creator and thinking about like how to communicate these technical aspects, like how do you go about thinking to provide some kind of consumable uh, information to people, in a format like online, or how do you go about thinking like that? Do you like plan those episodes out, or because I need some tips.
ah, yeah.
Do
Okay,
this
good
better.
question. Yeah, I did. I
How
do.
do you
I
think
do.
about that whole
I do a
process?
little bit of. I do a little bit of planning actually, but
Hmm.
usually what I do is I list down. I list down a couple of things that I want to talk about.
Mm.
Okay, so like probably I'd list down how to, let's say, how to set up a router, or like how do I secure my laptop, or how do I go about doing my business online, or how do I teach my kids X and Y. I just list down whatever major topic that I want to talk about for the next content that I want to build.
Mhm.
And then I started, once I decide on that specific topic, then that's the time I'm gonna break it down into different outlines, and then start from there. And then I break it down into smaller and smaller pieces, chunks, if you will. So you don't I don't produce the content in one sitting, because it's gonna be, because the nature of the content that I have is technical. So I have
Yeah,
to make
yeah.
sure also that um, whatever it is that I'm gonna be putting out, it's going to
Yeah.
be consumable to, somebody who's not really well versed when it comes to,
Yes. Translating
technical.
the
Yeah,
technical stuff.
you have to convert it to
Yeah.
from jargon to,
Mm.
Yep.
layman's
Yeah.
Which
terms.
is very
Okay.
difficult. And I appreciate that you're taking those necessary steps
Mm.
to at least
Yeah.
think about how can I make this feasible for the general
Yes.
public, which is a very hard thing to do. And
Mm.
It
some of the
is.
people that I admire personally are science communicators, such as the late great Carl Sagan. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, so he was very good at that. Like sometimes I take inspiration from him. I'm not an expert on anything, but at least the way he communicates is something for me to
Yeah.
be inspired with. It's words are very powerful, and we should at least take a little bit of consideration in how we communicate. So yeah, I
Yes.
salute you
Yes.
for that, man. That's a very good approach. So thank you for
Uh,
that.
yeah. So, you know, just make sure that you you narrow down, you slice and dice your content
Mhm.
from your main topic. Uh, call it a theme, if you will, for your content. For the next content, this is our theme. So from that theme, you explore how you're going to approach uh, that theme. Like, my theme for this week is cybersecurity. So how am I gonna approach that?
Yeah.
So, and then break it down into smaller and smaller pieces, and then make sure that for each piece, call it an outline, if you will, make sure to digest that into something that is palatable and understandable for an audience that is not thoroughly savvy technically.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit challenging, but it's also a nice
It's worth it.
exercise.
It's
Yeah,
worth it.
it's also a nice exercise for me. It's a facet of I consider that a facet of my you know of teaching. I used to teach, by the way, for like several years, six
Nice.
years, almost 7 or 8. Was it 8? Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Or
sta-
may I add, if we just want to fast track things, we could just
Mm.
strip down, take off our clothes so we can catch attention.
Yeah.
I'll just show
Yeah.
everybody my bunghole for 5 minutes. And then
Right.
people, listen to me. I have
Viral. Viral
Content.
for like
Viral.
15 minutes.
That's the thing now. Your 15 minutes of fame, right? That's
Right.
always the thing.
It's only 3 minutes, man.
Right.
3 minutes.
Because most people chase after fame, but
Yes,
not the
yes.
content. Who said that? It wasn't Martin Luther King who said it's not about the color of your skin, but the content of your character.
Yes, yes.
So forget about that message, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
if you're listening, I mean, I love I no, I don't love TikTok, but I do watch it sometimes if I have the time. A lot of YouTube, Instagram, but I'm sick and tired of some of the content there. It's just
Right,
disorienting. Even I'm not looking down on them. That's your content. I'm not telling people
right,
what to do.
right,
I'm just saying we
Right.
should have more patience with
right.
listening to each other, right?
And I encountered those a lot also on my social media, but I just tend to swipe up.
Yeah.
I don't watch. And basic since you mentioned about Carl Sagan and others, the most recent, of course, that I really admire as well, coming from a science and technology area, is Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm not sure
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you're
yeah.
watching,
Yeah, I like that guy.
if you watch this Star Talk.
Star Talk Radio, one of my favorite
Yes,
podcasts
it's really
ever.
good.
I've been listening to him for
Uh,
years. Highly recommended, people.
yes,
Go
yes,
ahead, watch
yes,
it. Yeah.
yes,
Star Talk Radio.
yes, yeah. Check it out.
Yep.
You'll be amazed in how simple he puts things into perspective. And
Expand. Sorry, go ahead.
Sure. Go ahead.
Expanding on a little bit about what you're touching on earlier about educating for the particular audience. How do you then translate that even, or think about translating that further when you're talking about your own kids? You said, I think you mentioned, if I don't know if you're okay with me bringing up that you trained your daughter to program.
At a
Yes.
very young
At
age.
what age?
Yes. Yes.
Do you mind getting into that a little bit?
Sure. I have to start with a little bit of background. Also, I got 3 kids. The eldest is Rory. She's now 15 years old, and
Okay.
I have Samara, who
That's
is
scary.
yeah, she's 4, and my youngest is Talia Dre. She's 1 year old. But
Wow. That's a big
my
one.
eldest, I started teaching Rory programming when she was around. No, not really programming, but using the computer at around 5 years old. So
Really?
she was already using the PC at 5.
PC,
And
man, huh? She was like playing
yes.
Quake.
more like
PlayStation,
using
it's a
the
PC,
mouse.
man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It
More like
wasn't
using
any
the mouse and
CD backslash.
paint. Yeah.
Wolf 3D.
We started she started with watching videos,
Okay.
watching YouTube videos, cartoons, and the usual before the cocoa melons and whatnot. So there were kids content. So
Sure.
she was watching Sesame Street and
Uh-huh.
Barney on YouTube way
Sure.
back then. So
Sounds familiar.
and then she's using I let her use the mouse, doing paint and all that, so she'll be able to
Wow. At 5 years old, huh?
About 5 years old, yeah.
Wow.
And then I transitioned her to, the initial how to use her logic when it comes to
Mm.
programming, because programming is not really about math, it's more about logic, like being able to imagine how to control the flow of information and how
Mm.
to
Wow.
control the execution of commands in programming. So I started her with mind games
Hmm.
on
Mind games.
yeah, different mind games like puzzle games.
Oh, okay.
One particular puzzle game that I let her use was Lightbot.
Mike bot.
Uh,
Like
Lightbot,
light
Light
Lig. Light
HT,
as in light.
light, light as in light,
Hmm.
right? Light and
Light
bot,
bot. All right, I
dot.
should check that
Yeah,
out. Thank you.
Lightbot. It's
All right.
Lightbot, dot. So yeah, so she started there practicing how to move a robot around a certain,
wow.
like
Mhm.
it's like you have this
That's cool.
stage. There's a stage, like
Oh,
you look
nice.
at it like a crossword puzzle,
Mhm.
but
Okay.
it's just a path, like a set of
Mm, all right.
squares. So you
Mhm.
need to move your robot around on top of those squares and
Mm.
make sure that you get the robot pass through the puzzle field
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
onto the door.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
that's what
That
yeah,
makes
that's
that makes total sense. Yeah.
she just practiced around that game.
Mm.
And she didn't, you know, like for several years
A
she's been
equals
playing
B.
around. Yeah.
Interesting.
Just practicing, practicing logic and all
All
that.
right.
And then
I see.
after that, by the time by the time she's 8, I introduced her to code.org, a website called
Code.org. Okay.
code.org.
Code.org. All
Hmm.
Yes,
right. Nice.
What is that?
code.org,
Mhm.
code.org.
Today,
So that's where she started learning about programming, but it's not Python yet. It's just, she uses Scratch. There's if you look at code.org, there are some puzzle games there, like
Mm.
Minecraft puzzle games
Mm, okay.
and
okay.
whatnot. But it's not real programming at the moment. It's
Okay.
just like,
But it's
the kids
something
just,
that just keeps them interested in that, or at least curious
yes,
about
Maybe
that
it just
aspect of.
hints to
yeah,
it or
it's
something.
like
Yeah.
it's like programming still, but you
Mm.
just click on a symbol, drag it around, arrange those symbols,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then it executes something,
Nice.
and
Nice.
it moves your character around,
Yeah. Yeah.
the field.
So it's safe
And
to
then
say that we shouldn't be afraid of introducing to
no,
our kids with technology.
yes,
We should at least give it to them with eyes wide open. Is that you think a good
yes,
approach? Even
yes, yes, yes.
people have been saying like you shouldn't give your children smartphones, have access to the internet. I've heard about that. I mean, I
Yeah.
have a 1-year-old. That's my
Yeah,
only
Definitely
child,
not
a
recommended by your
daughter. Yeah, but
PDN.
it's
yeah, there is
it.
I'm very cautious about it, but
Mhm.
personally I'm not privy to the idea that I should be introducing technology, but thank you
Mm.
for the information. Now I have more notes on when she grows up.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. That's a very common. Actually a very common sentiment
Hmm?
coming from a lot of parents, actually, and even
Mm.
um, behavioral doctors,
Mhm.
media, and
Mhm.
whatever. They will tell almost everybody that don't
Qualified
give your
doctors.
children, yeah, don't give gadgets to your children
Mm.
very early and all that. Here's the thing. They have to understand. They have to understand that technology is actually a double-edged sword.
Yep.
It is a double-edged sword.
Totally
If
agree with
if
that.
you
Yeah,
leave
for sure.
if you leave your kids with technology unsupervised,
Hmm.
then that's going to be a problem down the line, right?
Yes.
That's going to be a problem down the line. But us as parents, we have to be conscious enough
The
to
guide.
supervise our kids,
Yeah.
guide them on what content they're gonna be accessing online. Like
Yes.
my second daughter, Samara,
Mm.
is basically grew up using the iPad,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Okay.
but
They're digital
she's
natives, right?
Hmm.
yes,
Hmm.
she's since she was 2 years old, she's been using the tablet.
Wow.
And you know what? She's been she's been watching YouTube Kids for several years already, and we did not teach her anything about the alphabet, numbers. Where did
Figured it out?
you know now where she learned those things.
Yeah.
She would just call us, and then there was this one day. She called our attention one time. Papa, listen. Papa, listen. And then she recited all the planets
alphabet.
of the solar
Yeah,
the
man.
planets of the solar
Yeah,
system.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Wow.
when she was 3 years old, she
Wow.
recited all the planets of the solar system, starting from
Pretty
the
good.
sun all the way to Pluto.
True.
We
Wow.
did not teach her that. She
Yeah.
learned those. She learned those from YouTube,
From YouTube.
Kids.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
And I can
So-
attest to that, if I may add, since I have used also YouTube as a platform, or even just the internet itself. Because before, I mean, you had to buy books, right, just to show them
Right.
pictures of the animals, the planets. So now when I talk to,
Encyclopedias.
yeah, when I'm learning with my daughter, or having to learn with something, I can just scroll, type to the iPad or my phone, like, here's a picture of the moon. This is the moon. This is the Earth. And now when I said, can you show me where the moon is? She points up and tells me it's there. All right. She's a 1-year-old. And I'm so
Yeah.
amazed. So it's a matter of
Right.
who, again, going back to who wields the tools, but we
Right.
are responsible for introducing them to the tools. So yeah, I do
Yes.
agree with that. Anyway, I apologize for cutting you off there. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, exactly. So it's actually up to us parents to be able to supervise our kids, closely supervise our kids and what they're
Closely, yeah.
what they're using technology for, the gadgets for, and it's also better to um, allow them also to have some rest time. Like you don't just leave the gadget with them whole day. They don't need to have that. So
Right.
like, hey, it's already 2 hours. So break.
Yeah.
So you go and play, whatever. So again, technology is a double-edged sword. It's up to us parents to be able
As
to
parents,
supervise
I
kids.
agree.
But
And before,
I definitely they definitely suggest. I definitely recommend to let kids be able to use gadgets
and
have
parents
access
should
to
at
online.
least take the time to learn about technology
Yes.
and a
Yes.
little bit of
Yes.
science and whatnot.
Yes,
But anyway, your video is gone. Can we try to
Oh yeah.
do a little bit of a tech support here?
All right. So how long you start exposing the kids to technology, and then what kind of commitment was it on the kids' part and on your part to do the training to be able to learn how to code?
Oh, that's a good question. Actually, there's no real commitment.
It's not like
I
a
just
formal thing.
Yeah, it's not a formal thing. I just introduced, like, for example, I introduced Rory to Python when she was 8.
Wow.
So it was a gradual thing as well. And then
Yeah. Is there like a prerequisite to that for the kids? Like what's like the stepping stone to be able to get, like, where do they start? Like what's the white belt level,
White belt,
for the kids
Right.
class?
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
start them with you know puzzle games wherein they'll be able to practice logic, like, you try out Lightbot and see how it
Lightbot,
goes
okay.
from there.
Sure.
And then they can also, when the kids are a little bit older and they get to think for themselves, you can graduate them to one stripe white belt, let's say, one
Okay.
stripe. So you can introduce them to code.org and play the games there using Scratch. Scratch is, this click and drag thing. It's like programming still, but you just click and drag.
Okay.
Certain control blocks, what have you.
Mm.
So they can play around with that, and they can move, like probably a turtle. You move the turtle around, or move your Minecraft character around.
Mm.
That sort of things. It's not real programming, but it practices their logic.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
So the basic steps, the baby steps.
Yeah,
of
there were-
getting
Yes, the
there.
baby step. White
All
belt. So
All right.
white belt. So
That's good
practice
to
your
know.
logic.
that reminds me of
then-
this. Sorry, go ahead.
So after that, then you introduce them with the actual programming language. So in this case, I introduced Rory to Python, and then, but before introducing a specific programming language to them, there's also the need to show to them that this is a skill that you will be using for whatever purpose that is important to you, especially in school. And Rory needs to learn that skill for a certain subject, and she already has that now also. So she was able to appreciate that early on. She was able to learn that, but the, it's also important not to force them to learn something. That's the important thing, because if you force the kid to learn something,
Mm.
the interest is not there.
Yes.
It won't stick to them, because I'm just learning this because Papa said so or
Mm.
Mama said so. Later on, they will just forget that and then ditch it.
Yeah.
The next opportunity.
Was there ever a time where your kids want to vlog or have a Twitter account or
Urge
something
to
like that?
vlog.
Does that come up in the household a lot?
Yeah, actually, Rory actually has her own Twitter account, and
Is that right?
she also has her Facebook account as well. But what she's
Monitor
busy
the
right
shit
now.
out of that.
Yeah, we do. We do.
You got to, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
which begs the question for me, if I may ask, with you personally, having worked with technology and dealt with it for most of your life, can you still somehow feel a sense of awe and wonder on just how far we've come technologically? I mean,
Yeah.
for me, if I think about where we are right now, that is an avenue for me to translate to my daughter in the future. Like,
Right.
I'm talking to you right now. It's like telepathy, if you come to think of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just decades ago, this would be like insane. This is wild.
Neuralink will be
so,
telepathy.
so yeah. So for me, the
Right.
introduction of technology is kind of like our responsibility as well, and how we can translate
Yes.
that awe and wonder. So that's my question to you. Like, you're dealing with it on a daily basis. Do you still like get that sense of, whew, this is like, holy shit, like the hairs on my
Yes.
body are standing. Like, do you get that feeling a lot?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's good to know.
especially on certain areas. But
Uh-huh.
there are certain, you have to understand that technology is it's quite a vast area right now.
Mm.
Before, it's not that wide. You mean when we talk about like a couple of decades ago, like probably
Yeah,
24, 25 years ago,
Uh-huh.
when you say computers, we're just talking about like the PC. That's it.
Yeah.
Or we're talking about the server. That's it. And then now we have mobile computing. We now have spatial computing. If you're not familiar,
Spatial, I'm not familiar with it.
yeah,
Yeah, what is
spatial
that?
computing is like you take a device, you use that to augment your realities.
Okay.
So you take your mobile phone,
Mhm.
and you activate a camera on your mobile phone, and then as you move around your environment, let's say you're in a mall,
Mhm.
you have your phone, you held up your phone, and
Mhm.
you go around the mall, you will see uh, reality augmentation information that is being fed to you in real time. Like probably there's an advertisement there that you see on the camera that right now H&M is having a sale, and this is where you will see arrows that will point to you where H&M is located or
Sure,
whatever.
sure, sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So H&M is this way, so you follow that.
All right.
And
Yeah,
then
that technology is really exciting for sure.
yes, and it's already here.
Yeah,
And
it's in
another kind of
cars. Yeah.
another application of spatial computing is being used by the aircraft industry or the airline industry
Wow,
right now
nice. That makes a lot of sense. Why they would want
for
to do that.
maintaining aircraft.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
maintaining aircraft.
Sure.
So aircraft technicians right now, let's say for example for Boeing, they have this huge ass tablet that they carry around with them. They used to have like thick manuals for maintaining like aircraft engine
Mm.
for Pratt and Whitney or whatever. Right now they just carry a huge ass tablet like a
Yeah.
10-inch tablet.
And a stylus.
And
Yeah.
then
Everything is there.
and then and then and then they just position the camera of the tablet on the component or the part or the wing on the turbine, and then they will see some information about that engine, that
Yeah.
specific model of the engine, and where the defect is, and then they can actually move around like it's some sort
Mm,
of
mm.
X-ray.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then there's a render of the turbine on the tablet itself. They will see the 3D rendering of it,
Nice. Yeah.
and then
Mm.
they see it in real time, and then
Augmented
they
reality.
Yeah.
Nice.
yes. So
Yeah.
basically, spatial computing is composed of multiple facets. Like you mentioned one, that's augmented reality, that's AR. There's another is of
Mm.
course VR, that's virtual reality.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
another is XR, that's um, experiential reality, and then we have Web XR and others. So there are
Nice.
so many
Yeah, yeah.
greenfield areas in technology right now as well. And we're not talking about AI and machine
Yeah,
learning
yeah.
and all of that. Yeah.
There's a
So
lot to
those are
unpack there. So
right. So
yeah, we would
those
have to be talking
are
for days to be able to explore that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why you need to do a podcast
Yeah.
ASAP, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, you have a lot
right.
to contribute to the people
And
here in the Philippines.
and we haven't talked about cryptocurrencies
Yeah, yeah.
right
I
now.
mean,
Yeah.
hopefully we can do another
That,
episode on
that'd be
that.
fun. Yeah. I got a lot of
And-
questions for that one.
I got another question too. Going back to technology and fatherhood. So, what are
Sure.
some ways that we can explore to help us become better fathers to our children, so they can be
Mhm.
better? They can be better stewards of the future. So, some
Mm.
technology that we can use right now in our hands. It's available. We have the
Right.
smartphone. It's a smartphone.
Right.
Everything, the internet. So some of
Right.
the ways that we
Right.
have right now, communication is
Right.
one. We're doing this. We're
Right.
talking as
Right.
fathers. So
Right.
can you share some possibilities out there? If I may, before you answer that, uh, I'd like to share, excuse me, one experience with virtual reality. Um, when my wife was pregnant, I had this app. I forgot the name of the app, but it's like an app that you can have in a virtual reality setting where you can see the
Mm.
baby inside the womb, and there was this nice lady narrating the whole experience. Like if you've
Yes.
seen the movie Inner Space, that was Dennis Quaid in the early 90s.
Right.
It felt like that. It was so magical. And for me as a father, it really, I mean, I got teary-eyed just
Hmm.
watching that whole experience right there and then with a virtual reality goggle. So as a father, it
Yeah.
prepared me for, it's almost like a miracle in itself that I'm able to be inside the womb of the mother. And now there are apps that are actually, if you can scan, I mean, you
Right.
had your ultrasound scans, right? The
Uh-huh.
3D,
Right.
4D thing. Now you can
Right.
scan those, and in VR, you can explore in the
Yes.
womb of the mother of
Wow,
your
that's
wife, your
pretty wild.
partner. You can
That's
see your
cool.
child there in VR. Imagine
Yeah.
how wild that is. So for
Mhm.
me, those are some
Yeah.
of the ways that technology can be powerful in a positive way. So
Yes.
yeah, if it's something that got your mind blown, can you tell us something that perhaps we can learn from, since you're in the tech industry
Right.
as a
Here's
father?
the thing. Yes. It's really tricky, it's really tricky being a father in this day and age,
Mm,
because we already know that, again, as I've said earlier, the internet is not a friendly place. It's not a park. It's a freaking red light district with,
uh,
with all the nasty people waiting around the corner. And it's like if you let your child navigate blindly on the internet, it's like letting them walk around the corner while the nasty people are waiting for her to pass through. So it's like that. But you have to, as a father, you have to number one is definitely you have to keep you have to try to keep up with what is in right now as far as the things that are interesting to your kids, and then you try it out. You try it out.
What is
So
what is interesting for your kids right now?
Well, Rory's into anime right now, so I'm
Anime,
also
yeah.
into anime.
Nice.
So that's one thing. But
Nice.
as far as tools and websites is concerned, she's basically into the usual stuff like Facebook and Twitter. But
Mm,
we have visibility. We don't intrude, but we have visibility. So how does that happen? We ask her permission that we are she logs into her account on our phone so that her mom can supervise the conversations that's happening. So that sort of thing.
All right.
It might be it some people might think that it's an invasion of privacy. That only happens
mm,
if you did not ask for permission. Then that's the time that's an invasion of privacy. You have to
mm,
you have to let your kids understand that we will let you use this, but we need to have visibility so that we
mm.
can help you
Okay.
out and we can protect you as well.
Just be very
Because
upfront about it.
Yeah.
yes, you have to be
That's a
very
good point.
honest, and
Mm.
you
Yeah, I
have
can
to you
appreciate
have to
that.
let them understand. You have to let them
At
understand.
the end of the day, supervision still matters with
Supervision
technology,
still.
and
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, that's good.
Supervision still. Supervision. And again, make sure also that we try to learn. You know, we try to learn what are what's happening online, what's the next best thing, what's going on with
Yeah,
you
current
know
times.
current times.
Yeah,
Some
you
of the
give a lot of practical information in some of your videos, right? You're just talking about like
mm,
applying basic security, get a password manager, things like that.
right.
Like
Yes, yes.
when you break it
Yeah.
down
I
to kind of
mm,
practical things everyone can do today.
yes, 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 yes. Because a lot of people, whenever they get whenever they get an internet connection, like say for example from PLDT or whoever they're gonna be getting their internet connection from,
Mm,
um, those people will not manage the internet connection for you. They will just make sure that you are connected.
Connected.
That's
Yeah,
it.
you have
mm,
to be the one
That's
at
it.
least.
That's
Yeah.
it. They're not responsible for your safety online.
Yeah.
They're not gonna be protecting you. They're
Mm.
mm,
not gonna be protecting you from scammers and
mm.
Mm.
whoever nasty bad guy is
Whatever
gonna
your
be.
sons and daughters are watching or consuming
Yes,
online, it has to
exactly.
be us, right?
Mm.
It has to be us. It has to
Mm.
be us, and us as fathers, we also need to know how to put in some basic safeguards in place to make sure that our family will be safe
Protected.
online.
Yeah, that's a
Mm.
We
good
are
point.
protected online.
Yeah.
So, say for example, you got your router from your internet service provider. Make sure that you are able to ask for the password for the router so that you'll be
Mm.
able to. You
Yes.
need to learn how to log into the router
Mm.
and update the. There's
It's not
there's
that
something
difficult.
called the yeah, it's not that difficult. There's something called the DNS server.
Mm.
This is pretty basic. You can change the DNS server that is being used by the telco, change it to
Mm.
something else that you have control over.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can change that to probably OpenDNS, and you can apply for a free account on
Walay
OpenDNS, and
bayad
you
eh.
can
Oh, okay.
wala
Walay
bayad.
bayad.
So
Oh, okay. Pwede eh.
you can just put in safeguards in place in
Mm.
OpenDNS by logging onto your account, and then you apply the server. There's a server IP addresses that will be
Mm-hmm.
provided to you, and
Mm-hmm.
you can put that into your router.
All
Configure
right.
that into your
Mm.
router.
Okay.
So there are
Yeah.
safeguard protections against porn, against
Mm.
violence,
Yeah.
against
Yeah.
spam, and whatever.
So the key
So
point
anyway,
there is
key point there
be
is
aware as a
be
parent.
aware
Yeah.
as a
Mm.
parent, yes, and take time to learn how
Yeah,
to
always be
put
one
in.
step ahead of them, at least. So
Yes,
technologically, we have to take our time learning about technology. I mean,
yes,
I myself am not that knowledgeable with
yeah.
the
All of
internet.
us, yeah,
Yeah, but
right.
I do take some time to at least mind the
Yes,
content
yes,
what my daughter is watching. She's
yes,
still
yes, yes,
one,
yes,
but
yes.
I supervise
Mm,
every minute of it. We supervise
mm,
with along
Mm.
with mine. So yeah,
right.
I do agree with it. So yeah, now going to another topic about technology with AI. Here we go. How important is AI? Can it possibly help alleviate the human condition or contribute to the demise and obliteration of the entire species? The human species.
It's actually quite a broad question.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just
Yeah,
saying from
it's a,
your perspective or your opinion,
mm,
having learned
mm,
all this stuff.
right. There's actually a lot of misconceptions
Mm,
around AI, but the most realistic state right now of AI is that it helps. Right now, it helps us humans with a lot of mundane tasks. Like, say, for
mm,
example, in a factory, um, AI is at the moment is being used to monitor all the products that are being packaged within a factory,
mm,
or it is being used to monitor the product that is traveling down the manufacturing line. Let's say, for
mhm.
example, at Toyota or in any other factory. So AI is being used to track, the movement of the product as it gets built along the pipeline. So those kind of things. Because, we know humans suck.
Mm.
Humans
We are
suck
the
when it comes to,
parents of AI. As the parents of
yeah.
AI.
Yeah, but we suck when it comes to performing repetitive things.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
So we're, you know, if you, all right. Anyway, so um again, going back to the misconceptions of AI, right now it's being used to do repetitive things because humans suck
Mm,
at doing repetitive things.
Mm.
So let's say, for example, sorting actual snail mail.
mm,
People are humans, suck at doing that, like sorting mails
yeah.
and tracking, the quality of a product. Humans really suck at that, and we're not really consistent when it comes to doing those kind of things.
Mm,
So that's why AI can help a lot when it comes to doing that kind of tasks.
mm,
And it's still a green field area. It's not yet widely adopted by a lot of businesses, but
mm,
you know the interest is there. There's huge interest, and a
mm,
lot of companies right now who are doing AI and machine learning have been getting a lot of investments right now. A lot of
mm.
startup businesses are getting investments from big name people like Mark Zuckerberg. Not
Yeah.
just Mark Zuckerberg, but like even Mark Wahlberg and Ashton Kutcher have been investing into this kind of thing like AI
Mm.
and machine learning. So yeah,
What part
but
of
it's
AI machine learning are they investing into? Those
um,
celebrities.
that I have no clear idea yet which
Yeah.
ones. They tend to be a little bit secretive about those things, but yeah,
Oh, okay. Okay.
because that's part of their portfolio.
They're
But
in it. Yeah.
yeah, but they're in it. Yeah,
But is there
even
is there a valid reason why some people are afraid of it? Some individuals, some
yeah,
even the smartest minds that we have
yes,
here in the whole world.
yes. Because again, since AI is just technology and
Hmm.
it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword, so it
Going
can be
back to it.
applied.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. Like it can be used for bad or it can be used for good.
Yeah.
So yeah, and mind you, China being very technically savvy government right now is using AI to monitor its citizens, and that's not a secret. That's a fairly well known thing that's going on, and most of their people are paying cashless, so they just pay whatever it is that they buy through WeChat and whatever
Mm.
it is electronic currency that they do, and they keep track of the credit rating and credit scores of their citizens, and they keep track of how people move around the community, and they keep track of all the CCTVs and
Mm. Big brother, huh?
yeah, Big Brother style, and they have AI. They have AI. They have
Yeah.
AI that
Definitely. Mhm.
helps out evaluate your credibility as a person.
Mm.
So those are some of those things that are a little bit shady and in a gray area of sorts. But um, AI, when put into good use, is able to help us out.
Hmm.
Alleviate
A lot of things. Yeah.
a lot of things that is otherwise going to be drudgery for most of us. Working. You know, so just this is something that should be better given to AI to perform
Mm.
instead of a person doing the grind. And AI is able to do work faster than a human does.
Yeah, there's some interesting like practical applications of AI when I think the Hollywood version is like Age of Ultron kind of thing.
Or Skynet.
Or Skynet. But there are a lot of
Yes.
basic not basic, but I mean a lot of practical uses for that technology to
Mm.
solve legal cases.
Yeah.
There are like
Yes. Mm.
a lot of research, whatever involves any research algorithms are good
Right.
for. So,
Right. 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 It's more the current state of AI again is just more of like meeting certain set of conditions, and there are
mm,
a lot of conditions that are required. Let's say we can use AI to evaluate the suitability of a certain applicant. This is
mm,
for
Mm.
HR functions.
Yeah.
Like,
mm,
you feed this specific resume to an AI, and let the AI pre-screen applicants,
mm.
like
Mm.
this applicant is not suitable, this applicant is suitable, and those kind of things. And
Yeah,
if a person does that, it's gonna take a while. So
Mm.
yeah, there's some serious optimization that can happen. Efficiency, I should say, not optimization.
yeah,
Efficiency that can happen.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
I
yes.
look forward to the
But
day
would it
when
would it have like any biases at all? Like who puts the information in the
mm,
system?
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
for
there has to be a certain, again, AI needs to be configured, and needs to be set up to according to the requirement. Of course,
mm,
there are certain criteria, and somebody will need to set those criteria as well. And
mm,
it varies from organization to organization and company
mm,
to company,
Mm,
because AI is there to meet a certain need for a certain company or a certain group. And in order to meet those needs, they will need to set certain limitations as well, like what can AI do for them, and what
mm.
AI should not be doing for them as well. So
Which again begs the question: if I don't know if you agree with me, but should we treat it something like a parenting thing? Like if how we deal with that entity in itself, an artificial intelligence, like how do we teach it stuff? Is it more the mundane stuff? And I'm looking through this lens on a scale from a far future out there. Like, what
right,
are we teaching it then?
we're
And
still, well, AI right now, it's still too
yeah,
far
it's still
from,
on that
you
that
know
level.
it's not
But
yet it's not yet an a sentient entity
essential,
that
exactly. Yeah,
it's not.
I gotta ask you guys if you've heard of the Rokos basilisk.
Mm,
Um,
oh,
it's a
no,
thought experiment,
I
but
don't think so.
right.
I'm not sure if you guys have heard of this, but it's kind of the same with the concept of a god.
Mm,
So AI being this entity in itself. So if you don't ensure its survival or its success in the future, then you would be condemned to a torturous state in this reality. So yeah, it's more like if you relate it to here in our world, it would be akin to Pascal's wager, Blaise Pascal, whether you
mm,
believe in God or not. So
right.
the Rokos basilisk thing, I mean, there's it's a logical fallacy, but I wonder what
Mm,
you guys think about it. If there's this AI, if you don't contribute to its existence, then you would be condemned to, to torture and torment and whatever pain is out there for the rest of existence and time. So I wonder what you think about that, Romer. It's just a wild idea out there. You're contributing to AI, so
right. Well, technically, we're all contributing to
to
AI right
AI, yeah,
now,
we are
and
willing
we think,
participants, right?
yeah, unwitting and unwilling participants,
Yeah.
unfortunately, because we basically feed Facebook's AI. We
Mm.
feed Zoom's. We are actually right now at this moment we're feeding Zoom's AI,
Mm.
Mhm.
right? So, you know, one way or another, we're contributing to the beast in a way. But these are different beasts altogether. They're not. We cannot lump them into a single beast because these are different things. But definitely there has to be governance. I think
Mm.
they're working on it right now.
Right.
Governance on where what are the limitations when it comes to AI. And I
Mm.
believe there are already initial steps on applying AI for um uh gene manipulation, and that's
Mm.
not a good one.
Mm.
So I've just read like a couple of days ago that there are initial steps of letting AI do gene manipulation, and I
Yeah.
don't think that's going to be a good thing for
Yeah.
everyone concerned. So that's going to be quite serious stuff. And there are other things that we shouldn't be applying AI, and we shouldn't be letting AI
Mm.
do anything with it, especially biological stuff.
Mm.
But definitely, I think initial work is already being done right now on the
Mm.
governance on how we're gonna be able, as a human species, we'll be able to govern the
Mm.
application of AI in our everyday lives.
Mm. So
But definitely right now,
we are
what we're
still on the
applying
driver's
into,
seat, right?
yes, we're still on the
Yeah.
driver's
Right.
seat. We're we are still on the driver's seat, and
But
we
we're making
basically
cars that drive itself.
right, right,
I mean,
right,
not us, but at least some of us.
Isn't
right.
isn't there news about the hoverboard being a Pinoy engineer or something like that? Is that true?
Uh, I don't know. I wasn't able
Okay.
to
Yeah.
encounter that one.
Yeah.
No. You might be talking about that. Um, you might be talking about the flying car from Kicks.
Fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
The drone
Pinoy.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Drone. Okay.
Mm.
It was actually a modified. Well, not really modified, but based off of the design of an of a drone.
Mm,
Uh,
okay.
so it's like a large drone
That makes sense.
wherein
Sure, sure. That's awesome
instead
though.
of instead of remotely controlling the drone, he's driving the drone. So
Right.
Ah,
I think
that's pretty
it's
awesome.
Kicks. I think it's Kicks Mariano or something. I don't know.
I
I
see.
Yeah.
forgot his name. But yeah, um, it's manually.
I'm gonna troll that
Um,
guy.
yeah.
Awesome, man. That's
Right.
incredible. I mean, can you imagine
But
taking
again,
that flight? That must be so
Yeah.
badass, dude.
Exactly.
right.
You're like, this is gonna be the Green Goblin, motherfucker. You know what you're gonna be for Halloween, right?
So yeah,
right,
there,
right,
there there certainly are there's a lot of things that we can talk about this, and I hope more people will be talking about, especially here locally. That's why we're urging you, man, to
yes,
Yeah.
to at least start your own thing with this, because I know that this platform can surely help our local culture
yeah,
here. So
right,
there needs to be more conversations about our place here, not
right,
just locally, but even in the universe. Who talks
right,
about
right,
this
right.
here locally? Not a lot of people. I mean, recently on Christmas Day, the the um the telescope was launched. The
Um,
big telescope,
Web,
the big
yeah,
the
one.
Weber,
web.
Yeah, the Webb.
mm.
Yeah.
Web
Go
telescope,
Webb.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
Pretty awesome.
pretty awesome. Now it's fully
Truly, truly awesome.
unfolded.
Yeah.
It's now a
and we
Oh
can,
telescope.
yeah. Oh
and
wow.
what's
And
good,
soon it's
what's
going
good
to
about,
unravel the mysteries of the past. And I'm so
yeah,
excited for it. So, how
yeah,
do we
and
translate that to our people here locally, especially? Pwede na to na
yeah,
Binisayon, pwede na to na
Yeah.
Englisyon, Tagalogon, kung unsa ba. Pero I don't see a lot of people talking about it. And I find that very frustrating, really. So, yeah, more people should
right,
talk about it. You
right,
have that capacity. You have the knowledge, the experience. You're very intelligent. You're very well spoken. I think you can pull this off. So we hope one day we'd hear from your podcast too. your your channel, maybe.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I
Happy
hope
to
so.
promote that. Yeah.
Yeah. Last year I've been planning to have the podcast, but yeah,
That's
I
good.
got put on hold.
Nice.
Fortunately, I have the YouTube channel, so I'm gonna continue
Nice.
doing that as well.
All right.
We
I
do this again, man.
think I
Mm.
yeah, sure. I'd
Be
be
fun.
happy to be here.
Awesome.
I hope we
Always.
have a part two. We've had a lot of technical difficulties
Sure.
with this episode, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be cut off. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, people, where we apologize
Yeah.
in advance if this episode will be a kind of jarry. It's kind of like technology. We're still dealing with
Right.
it.
That it's
So
not
Kind of-
be
it's
patient.
not perfect.
It's
Yeah,
not
it's
perfect.
not
Be
yeah, it's
patient
not
with us.
perfect, but it's beautiful in its quirkiness.
It is
just like
beautiful,
this.
yeah, and there's a
reality.
lot that we can take from it. So, yeah, and if before we end this part one, I hope this is a part one because we're really interested in expanding this conversation with you, man. So,
Sure, sure.
I'd like to ask, given the number of years that you have lived on this planet, this plane of existence, you have worked on technology to help shape tomorrow's world, our world. We have used tools to preserve our memories. This is sort of a preservation of memories. It's recording that we're having right now.
Mhm.
In the old days, they were etching everything on stone. But
Yeah.
still, the reality is one day, given the nature of entropy, everything will disappear. We will be all gone.
Mhm.
The universe itself will disappear.
Mm.
Even our memories, our daughters, our
Mhm.
grandchildren. So, how has this experience shaped your perception on life and death?
Ah, all right. Good. That's a really good question and quite deep. But yeah, I just I treat this life as a stepping stone in a way, and also uh, an area of learning, because I actually believe that all of us will be transitioning to a different plane of existence, a different plane of consciousness. I believe in I believe in a single mind.
Mhm.
So all of us will be collectively submitting our consciousness to a central consciousness. So,
Mhm.
I believe that. So even if I'm a Catholic and I'm a Christian,
Yeah.
but other people may call it God, but I believe that there's a central consciousness, and we can transcend from this plane to another plane. So, yeah, it's a learning phase for us, and there's always a next one. There's always a next one. So, yeah, and
Beautiful.
what everything that I've learned here, I can apply next time. It's not probably it's not the same circumstances that I've experienced here, but the way I approached it here on this plane, I can apply it on the next plane. That's basically it.
Nice.
All right.
Thank you.
Can
Thank you for
appreciate that,
sharing that.
man.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
appreciate that. So yeah,
You're
woo,
welcome.
that was a beautiful that was a beautiful thing. Yeah. So thank you so much, Romer. I mean,
Yeah, thank you very
it's
much.
been a
You're very
pleasure
welcome.
talking to you, man. I mean, thank you so much even for taking the time to talk with us simpletons here. We're not experts on the
Layman's
subject,
over
but
here, man.
we just appreciate the fact that we get to learn a lot from you, and hopefully we can continue this conversation on another episode, another time. We'd like to have you back. I think
Sure.
this is one of our best episodes yet.
It's
So
fun, man. Definitely fun.
Yeah, I had fun. Yeah.
yeah,
Appreciate your time.
we appreciate your
Sure.
time, and remember, people. I just like to leave this with a message that whatever happens in this world that we're living in, it is a way forward. It is an experience. But as the late great Carl Sagan said, we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. So thank you for tuning into Tatay Time. Again, this is Papa Loy, Papa Ben, and here we are with Papa Romer, discussing about technology, existence, life, death, and everything under the sun, which we call a star here in our local solar system. Thank you so much again, man. So we see you all, people, and remember, whatever happens, daddy on, soldiers. Thank you.